Have you ever been working in SharePoint and just thought, man, this is good, but I really wish it could just do this one thing for my team? Well, if you have, you've hit on the exact reason we're here today. We're going to pull back the curtain on SharePoint's modern toolkit, the SharePoint Framework. You'll hear it called SPFx, and see how it lets you turn SharePoint from a standard product into a platform that's built just for you. So here's how we'll break it all down. First, we'll talk about the why we even need to go beyond the out-of-the-box stuff. Then we'll dive into the solution, SPFx, and its two key building blocks. After that, we'll follow the journey of an idea from a line of code all the way to a live feature on a page. And then we'll wrap up by thinking about what you can do with all this power. All right, first things first, why do we even need something like SPFx? Let's talk about where standard SharePoint hits its limits. Okay, so we all know SharePoint is an absolute powerhouse for collaboration. I mean, it's the digital hub for so many teams. It's where you store your documents, organize projects, and share information with everybody from anywhere. But here's the catch. The real challenge pops up the minute your team has a unique process that doesn't quite fit into the standard boxes. You eventually hit a wall where the tools SharePoint gives you just aren't cutting it for a really important business need. And trust me, these kinds of needs are everywhere. Maybe you need to show live sales numbers from another system right on your SharePoint homepage. Or you've got a project list and you need it to scream, "I'm overdue," in bright red. Or hey, maybe it's something as simple as wanting your company's branding and links at the top of every single page for a consistent feel. And this is the exact problem SPFx was created to solve. It's the modern answer to that fundamental question. How do we make SharePoint work the way we work? So what exactly is FSPX? Well, to put it simply, it's Microsoft's official, supported way to build your own custom features that run directly inside a SharePoint page. And the best part? It uses all the modern web technologies that developers already know and love, things like TypeScript and popular frameworks like React. And this is exactly why it's the new standard. See, older ways of customizing SharePoint often use these clunky things called iframes, which is basically like putting a web page inside of another web page. It was slow and awkward. SPFx components run directly on the page, which makes them super fast and naturally mobile-friendly. Plus, they're flexible, secure, and always have to be approved by an admin before they go live. Okay, so when you decide to build something with SPFx, you're pretty much choosing between two types of components: web parts and extensions. And honestly, understanding the difference between these two is the key to getting how the whole framework operates. The difference is actually really simple, but it's super powerful. Think of web parts as the things you add inside the main content of your page, like a custom chart, a dashboard showing project updates, or a newsfeed. Extensions, on the other hand, customize the space around your content. They change the frame of the page itself, like adding a global header or footer. Here's a great little analogy. A web part is like adding a news section to a newspaper. You're adding a comic strip or a stock market ticker. It's a new block of content that lives right there on the page alongside the other stories. An extension? Well, that's like changing the newspaper's main title banner or adding a special promotional message across the top of every single page. It's not about the content of one particular article. It's about the consistent look and feel of the whole paper. So we know the what and the why. Now for the how. How does an idea actually turn into one of these components? Let's walk through the basic journey. Now, we're not going to get lost in the weeds with actual code commands, but the process is really logical. First, the developer runs a tool that creates all the basic files and folders for the project. Second, they get in there and write the code that makes the component do what it needs to do. Third, and this is super cool, they can test it instantly in a safe local environment. And finally, they bundle it all up into one single file that's ready for SharePoint. Okay, so you've got this little package file. Now what? The final leg of the journey is getting that customization from the developer's computer into the hands of your users in a totally safe and controlled way. And that's all managed through something called the app catalog. The best way to think of this is like a private app store, but just for your organization. No custom code ever gets onto a live page without an administrator first putting it in this central spot, approving it, and making it available. And the whole workflow is designed for security and control. The developer creates the package, an admin uploads it to the app catalog. After they approve it, it becomes available to be installed on certain sites. And only then can someone go to a page and add that new web part, just like they would with any out-of-the-box feature. So what does this all mean in the real world? Well, imagine you have a basic SharePoint list, like this project tracker. It's functional, but It's a little boring, right? A developer could build a custom web part that connects to this exact same data, but displays it as a beautiful, interactive, color-coded dashboard, something way more engaging and useful than a simple table.
All right, so let's zoom out. After seeing that journey from a simple idea all the way to a live feature on a page, what's the big takeaway here? What does this really mean for your team?
Here it is, the key idea. SPFx isn't just about bolting on new features. It's about fundamentally changing SharePoint from a one-size-fits-all tool into a platform that is tailor-made for your organization. It gives you the power to shape the tool to fit your process, not the other way around. Ultimately, what this does is open up a whole universe of possibilities for making your team's life easier, making your data more powerful, and making your entire digital workplace just better. So now that you see what you can do, the only real question left is, what's the first problem you're going to solve?